Okay, Rambam. Tomorrow is a conclusion of the three chapters that we learn. We don't learn all three chapters daily, but we learn one. Usually we try to finish a chapter, and maybe sometimes a little more. So we are going to conclude tomorrow. That's an amazing accomplishment. L'chaim to everyone. Yes. A round of applause. Okay, tomorrow. Okay, where the laws of Malachim, Hilchos Malachim, laws of kings. So, in both the Milchamas Mitzvah and Milchamas Harishus, there's Milchama means war, battle, and there's two types. One that's a mitzvah, that God said, for example, to battle Amalek, the Amalekis, right? Then there's that which is permission, which you are not obliged. So a kohen, a priest, is appointed to address the nation before the battle. He is anointed with oil of anointment and is called Meshuach Milchama. He's anointed for battle, right? So a Meshuach Milchama speaks to the nation twice. Once at the border, as the army is leaving before they assume battle positions. At that time, he tells the nation, is there a man who was planted a vineyard and who has not redeemed his first crop? This is quoting from Parshas Seitzei. Right, so someone who's planted a vineyard and has not redeemed his first crops. When this individual hears these words, he should retreat from the battlefront. He doesn't go to battle. He speaks a second time in the army. When the army is assumed battle position, he declares, do not be afraid. Do not panic. By the way, it's not just, there's a whole list of different people. Those who just got married, first year of marriage. Someone who built a home, just built a home. There are different categories. So that's the first time, right? Those people, though, they don't fight. When the army assumes battle positions, the second time is he declares, don't be afraid, do not panic. When the army assumes battle positions and will shortly join in war, the Meshuach Milchama stands in an elevated place before the array of the entire army. He addresses them in Hebrew. Listen, Israel, today you go about to wage a war against your enemies. Do not be faint-hearted. Do not be afraid. Do not panic, and do not break ranks before them. God, your Lord, is the one accompanying you to do the battle for you against your enemies to deliver you. Know that God is the one going to take care of you. These words are related by the Meshuach Milchama. Afterwards, another kohen of a lower rank proclaims them to the people in a loud voice. So he's saying it, but then you need someone with a loud voice, right? Then the Meshuach Milchama announces, is there a man who's built a house? Oh, here it is. Okay. Let him go home. There's a man who's planted a vineyard. There's a man who's planted a vineyard. Let him go home. Is there a man who is consecrated to a woman? Let him go home. These words are related to by the Meshuach Milchama. Afterwards, an officer proclaims these words to the nation in a loud voice again. The officer announces it on his own initiative. Is there a man who is afraid or faint-hearted? Let him go home. Another officer proclaims these words to the people, right? So it can't be anybody who has a category that is not, should not be going to battle, and anybody faint-hearted. That's it twice now. After these individuals depart from the battlefront, the army is arrayed again, and the commanding officer are appointed at the head of the nation. Powerful officers with iron axes in their hands are placed at the rear of each array troops. If the person wants to leave the battle, they have the permission to chop off their legs or to fight. For the fight is the beginning. For flight is the beginning of defeat. Wow. Fight or flight, huh? Flight is the beginning of defeat. So they have the permission to chop off their legs because I hope that didn't happen. I don't know if it happened. I'm not certain. But obviously, at that point, anybody that was faint heart should have been gone already. Someone who was afraid should not be there. So the morale of an army is crucial. Napoleon knew that. He had his troops go to battle singing songs of marching songs of victory. Here it is telling us you're going to battle, you have to go, you can't be weak-hearted. In which instances are the above the individual sent away from the battlefront? The milchamas are reshus. So all of these instances is only when it's a permissible battle. By contrast, when it comes to mitzvah, the entire nation must go out to war, even the groom from his chamber and a bride from her pavilion. When it's a mitzvah that they have to go to battle, then everybody, even the groom, just got married. Bride, also, from her chuppah, under the, right? Okay. So those who leave the battlefront include the person who builds a house to dwell in, a barn for his cattle, a woodshed, or a storage house. A person who builds one of the latter is deferred because those structures are fit for dwelling. Just as a person who builds a home is deferred from military service, so too one who buys a home, receives one as a present, or inherits one should also return from the front. However, one who builds a silo, a gatehouse, and etc., a porch, or a house that is less than 4 cubits by 4 cubits, less than 6 by 6 feet. And similarly, the person who steals a house does not return from the war. Just as a person who plants a vineyard is deferred from military service, so too one who plants 5 fruit trees, even though there are 5 different species, receives a similar deferment. Hmm. By the way, this talks to me because when I went to Israel many years ago, as a young man, I was 18 years old, which was the time to go to the army. Being that I was born in Israel, I needed a deferment from the army. So I could study. It's only, I was born in Israel for 10 weeks and then came to Canada. So I had to get a deferment. And yeah, because I went to study. Okay, in yeshiva. This applies to one who plants a vineyard, one who extends, one who grafts extension. And grafting must be significant enough to obligate the vine in orla, and one who buys, one who inherits, and one who receives, one is a present. However, one plants 4 fruits or 5 trees that do not bear fruit, and certainly one who steals a vineyard does not return from the battlefront because of it. Also, when the vineyard is planted by 2 partners, neither may return from the battlefront because of it, because you don't own. Just as a man who consecrated a virgin is deferred from military service, so too is deferment is granted to one who consecrates a widow, or similarly to a man whom a yavama, right, who's the older brother, the brother passed away and childless, right, becomes obligated. Even if there are 5 brothers and one of them dies, all should return from the battlefront. Even only one of them is going to marry her. Interesting. If a man consecrates a wife on the condition that the kiddushin take effect retroactive from the day that they were given after a year has passed and the time period is completed during the war, he should return from battlefield, because it'll be retroactive. A person who remarries his divorcee, or the one who consecrates a woman whom is forbidden to marry, for example, a widow to the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, or a divorcee to whom's undergone chalitza, or a common Kohen, a regular Kohen, or a mamzer netzina in Israel, or an Israelite to a mamzer netzina, should not return from battlefield because that's not a proper marriage. All those who return from the army camp return when they hear the proclamation of the priests, of the Kohen. They must supply food and water to their brethren in the army and fix the roads for them. So they return from battle, but that doesn't mean they don't help the army initiative. They do. They got to fix the roads, help in that way, right? And supply food and water to those who are in battle. The following should not go out to the army camp at all and should not be bothered with for any obligation whatsoever. One who builds a house and dedicates it, one who marries a woman who he consecrated, or his yivama, one who redeems his vineyard. They are not conscripted until the completion of 1 year, as it says, he'll remain free for his home for 1 year to rejoice with his bride he took. Your tradition teaches a 1 year deferment applies whether he purchased a house, married a woman, or began to benefit from the fruit of his vineyard. So that 1 year that he is deferred. Right? That's again only by Milchemes or Rishus, a battle that is permissible but not obligation. During the entire year, he is not obligated to supply the troops with food or water. That for those three people, right? He should not fix the roads, guard the walls, or pay a levy for beams or the gates of the city. He shall not enter the military service or assigned any duties. Petition of the prohibition teaches us that transgression of two prohibitions are involved. He is not obligated to his city nor to his army. Right? So in those instances, if he builds a house and rents it to others, in the event the tenants pay the rent beforehand, is considered as he's already benefited from it. If they do not pay the rent until 12 months have passed, it's considered as not a derived benefit. The idea over here is that, he didn't derive the benefit of something that is, I guess, sort of like basic. Marriage, a home, and a vineyard, your livelihood. Interesting, those three areas. Following rules apply when a man built a house. Place his belongings inside and lock them within. If he has spent time guarding them, it is considered as he derived benefit from the home and began dwelling there. If he does not have to sit and guard them, he is considered as one who has derived no benefit from the home as of yet, because they don't need to be guarded by the home. So therefore, it's not considered a benefit. The whole idea is here that in these three areas, you didn't benefit. But if you did benefit, then it's the year clock is ticking. Halacha 14, anyone who builds a house or plants a vineyard outside the land of Israel is not sent back from the battlefront. It's only in Israel. 15, to whom does the phrase, is there a man who is afraid and faint-hearted refer? Phrase should be interpreted simply applying to a person whose heart is not brave enough to stand in the throes of battle. Once a soldier enters the throes of battles, he shall rely on and hope of Israel and their Savior, God. In times of need, he should realize that he is fighting for the sake of the oneness of God's name. You're not fighting but anything for God. Therefore, he should place his soul in his hand and not show fright or fear. He should not worry about his wife or children. On the contrary, he should wipe their memory from his heart, removing all thoughts from their mind except the war. And if you're going to think about your wife and kids, what's going to happen? You're more likely going to die in battle. And other people might come down with you, right? Wipe them from memory and only focus on the battle. Anyone who feels anxious or worry in the midst of the battle to the point that he frightens himself, violates a negative commandment. Do not be faint-hearted. Do not be afraid. Do not panic, and do not break ranks before them. Furthermore, he is responsible for the blood of the entire Jewish nation. If he is not valiant, if he does not wage war with all of his heart and soul, it's considered as he shed the blood of the entire people. Wow. Let him go home, lest he demoralize the hearts of the brethren like his own. Similarly, the prophetic tradition explicitly states, "Cursed be he who does God's work deceitfully. Cursed be he who withholds his sword from blood." In contrast, anyone who fights with the entire heart, without fear, with the intention of sanctifying God's name alone, he can be assured that he will find no harm, nor will bad overtake him. He will be granted proper family in Israel and gather merit for himself and his children forever. Wow. He will also merit eternal life in the world to come. As it states, God will certainly make my Lord a faithful house, for my Lord fights the wars of God, and evil will not be found with you. Wow. My Lord's soul will be bound up in bound of life with God. Psh. Wow. That's pretty powerful. Okay. That we're going to conclude today. Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everyone.